I know you have an update for us on the Herschel Walker situation, let's call it. Let's be kind. Say he's got a little bit of a situation going on.
Yes.
A little abortion here and there, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah. I mean, a little family drama definitely playing out in that race right now. So, of course, you guys probably know, Daily Beast article comes out of a woman saying, not only do I accuse Herschel Walker of giving me the funds to, get an abortion, and he sort of pressured me into doing it, but here's a receipt. Here's the copy of the check. Here's a get well card that he sent thereafter. So lots of, bolstering support there and evidence of that this all happened. Herschel Walker comes out, flat out denial, says he's going to sue the Daily Beast.
Then doesn't.
Too. Hasn't done that.
He said, tomorrow I'm suing
surprise.
them. And then nothing.
Then his son, who is a conservative commentator in his own right, I think he has a podcast called Uncancelable, so that gives you a sense of what his politics are.
He's the anti-gay guy.
Is that
he's gay, but he hates gay culture. He all that stuff.
I mean, I haven't watched his stuff, so I don't know what his deal is. But I do know he is on the right, and he has been an ally, an advocate for his dad's campaign, sort of outspoken about it. This is the one son that Herschel Walker had been acknowledging existed from the beginning. So he does, when this abortion story comes out, does a total 180 and goes scorched earth and is just going after his dad, saying, your violence forced us to move. And the reason I talk about absent fathers is because I was affected by it. And you got to stop with the lies and being a hypocrite and pretending to be some moral Christian religious guy. So that all happens. And again, Herschel Walker continuing to deny. Then today, this morning, this is Thursday when we're recording this, there's another story that comes out from the Daily Beast with the woman who had originally accused Herschel Walker of, helping her get this abortion, saying, not only did I have this abortion, but by the way, I'm the mother of one of these children, because one of the knocks was, this is just some anonymous person. And Herschel Walker had said, I don't even have any idea who this woman is. And she's like, yes, you do, because not only did this happen, but also I did ultimately have one of your kids. So that's kind of where things stand.
All right. So with all that, now let's take a look. He just talked to Hugh Hewitt, which hilarious that you picked Hugh Hewitt for your first interview. Let's watch.
The Daily Beast has updated the story about your paying for a woman's abortion. The anonymous woman has now also alleged that she had a child by you. Your response?
I'll say it was the same thing I said, that, I know this is untrue. I know it's untrue. And they keep telling me things like that, and it's totally, totally untrue. And I'm not sure why that will be told. I know nothing about any woman having an abortion, and so they can keep coming at me like that, and they're doing it because they want to distract people. I know that because I've already been forgiven, and if I've been forgiven, why in the world will I not be forgiven of something like that? And I'm not saying being forgiven. Go ahead.
Is there anything you need to be forgiven for vis-a-vis a woman whose name we do not know? Do you know who this woman is, and do you need to be forgiven?
Well, that's what's so funny. And I'm saying I've been forgiven because of all the things I did when I went to the thing with my ex-wife and all that, and things I did, I don't know how many years ago that I wrote in my book. I said, guys, I wasn't perfect. I had my problem with mental health. And I've been born again, but I have a new life, and I've been moving forward. And if that had happened, I would have said it, because there's nothing to be ashamed of there. People have done that, but I know nothing about it. And if I knew about it, I would be honest and talk about it. But I know nothing about that.
What do you mean by that?
Okay, so he keeps contradicting himself because he says it's untrue, and then he later goes on to say, well, I've been forgiven. But if it's untrue, then what do you need to be forgiven for? You didn't do anything wrong.
Right.
So, just colossal contradiction. The other thing is...
He says, if that had happened, I would have said there's nothing to be ashamed of there. People have done that, but I know nothing about it.
It's just, he's a mess. He also released an ad where he says in it, basically I had mental health problems, but I've been forgiven by the Lord. Now, that you could either say is in relation to this story, or it could have been Herschel trying to get ahead of another round of stories, because Christian hinted in his videos going after his dad like he was literally physically abusive. So he might be trying to get ahead. So now if that comes out, he'll probably say, oh, this is untrue also, but I've been forgiven and I also had mental health problems. So again, there'll probably be another fundamental contradiction.
Yeah.
So, look, the thing is, for people on the right who actually believe in the pro-life idea, and Herschel says he's one of them, right? No exceptions whatsoever. For life of the mother, even.
Yeah.
For rape, for incest. If you believe that, then you have to think Herschel basically did murder for hire. His baby's mom did murder for hire. The doctor who performed the abortion is a murderer, and he would throw the book at these people. So the idea is, I don't really believe it. Abortion for me, not for thee, right?
Right.
Like, so everybody else I will punish. But ultimately, look, like Dana Loesch got into a lot of crap the other day because she said, like, I don't care that this happened. I actually think that's a weirdly honest perspective from the right.
Yeah.
Because their argument is like, yeah, if he did this, even if he aborted, let's say, in theory, 20 babies, well, he's still going to vote against abortion when he's in the Senate. So the net good there is he's saving millions of babies. So who cares that he killed 20, basically? Like, that's the logic.
Yes. And so back during the Bill Clinton era, there was this partisan divide in terms of, like, how do we feel about whether a leader's, like, personal morality matters. And the right was, of course, all in the Bill Clinton blowjob era of, like, of course, personal morality in our leadership, we have to have it. And that basically, like, that general sentiment sort of lasts among the right up until Trump. And then it's like a switch flipped. And I remember there was polling at the time of, like, how instantaneously they flipped to being like, actually, we don't care about that. What we care about is, like, eyes on the prize. We want those Supreme Court justices. We want Roe versus Wade overturned. And that's what we're willing to we're willing to go along with basically anything in order to get that done. And sure enough, I mean, Trump, for all of his various, like, personal life moral failings or whatever, as they would be seen by the religious right, he is the one that gets the Supreme Court justices in that ultimately gives them what they've long been questing after for decades and decades and decades. So I think that ship has sort of already sailed in terms of, like, the judgment on the personal morality piece for the hardcore right-wing base. That piece doesn't surprise me whatsoever. And, you sort of, even among them, you have a mixture of responses. You have people like Dana Loesch, who's like, is it Loesch? Lash?
I think it's Loesch.
Anyway, she's out there, like, basically, I don't care. Even if it's true, I don't care. He would be a vote for a nationwide abortion ban. That's a far greater good. To be honest with you, I kind of understand that perspective, because if it was, I have certain, like, principles and values and policies I want to see passed. And there is a lot that I would forgive if you have this, like, very clear choice between those two things. But then the other thing that they're trying to say is just like, this is fake and it's not true. And they, it's an anonymous woman and this is just invented and it's fake news and all of that. That's going to be, I think, fairly hard to sustain because, number one, he came out with such a hard and fast denial that it has made people who know he is lying want to prove that he is in fact lying. So that's why this woman comes out with, this other story saying, not only do you know who I am, I'm the mother to one of your children.
Right,
that's part of why you have Christian Walker going so incredibly scorched earth. And as you're indicating, like, this is far from the only thing that could come out here about Herschel Walker. And there are a lot of people, including his son, Christian Walker, who know where those bodies are buried, who now have an incentive to say, oh, really? You're going to still say this is lies? You're going to still posture like you're this moral Christian man? I'm going to prove to the world what a liar you are.
Yeah. I mean, I'm curious to see what ends up happening with Christian because his whole social network was built on the right. And then now they all despise him because he's out there like, look, this one's personal to me. He's a liar. And he said, he's like, I haven't told any stories. I just want him to not lie because apparently Christian was told your dad is going to get out in front of all this stuff his entire past. He's going to pull the Eminem move and be like, yeah, I did this. I was fucked up, but I've moved on. I've grown up. I've been forgiven by God, et cetera, et cetera.
Politically, he should have done that.
Yeah, well,
he absolutely should. And the thing he does now of the, like, I was forgiven by God, that would be a much smarter strategy than the, like, flat out denial and I'm going to sue the Daily Beast, which again, he hasn't done because this is all bullshit and, like, they have their receipts. So I think that would have been a smarter political strategy to get out in front of this.
So, okay, there is something about what this does show, though, is these people don't live what they claim are their principles. They do not abide by their principles. And I want to give you an analogy here to sort of show the way I think about these things. So every time I file my taxes, I have an uncle who's like a, tax attorney, whatever, accountant, tax something, doesn't matter. He does my taxes. He does the whole family's taxes. Anyway, so every time I go to file my taxes, he's always like, you should do this, to try to claim X big of a deduction, and then, you won't be paying as much, and you should try that. And I'm always like, is that legal? And usually the answer is like, yes, it's legal, but, it is kind of like... You're stretching it type shit.
Yeah.
And I always say every single time, I want to pay every single penny that I owe. Because, I'm a guy who's out here claiming I believe in social democracy. I believe in a progressive tax rate system.
Yeah.
And so for me to then turn around and not... Now, to be fair, I mean... The only stuff that I like my tax money going towards is like infrastructure, Medicare, Social Security, Medicaid.
Not
like
the war
literally 50% of it's like military. So in theory, I could be like, fuck 50% of it. Try to get me out of 50% of it, right? But I still don't do that because I know that it's a gotcha moment from the right. If this were to, people were to ever find out like, oh, look what he did with his taxes. And they'd be able to say, he doesn't live by his principles. But they can't say that because I do. Now flip that to what we see here with Herschel. And it's like across the board on the right, except with Christian Walker, they're all playing defense. And it's like, it's all about power. It's all about getting that seat.
Yeah,
they don't
absolutely.
care. They don't care.
If this had come out like in the primary and they thought there was a chance where they could switch out for a different candidate that they thought would be strong in their general election, totally different situation. But now they have the playbook from the Trump era of just like
plow ahead.
Keep going, plow ahead.
Go on the offense.
Yeah. Go, exactly. Flip it, go on the offense, call out the media, say it's all fake, and then hope that you can ride out the storm.
Just make it a wash. That's all they're really trying to do.
Yeah.
It's like, I don't know. He said he really denies it. Like that's what they're trying to do. Yeah.
Yeah, that's exactly right. And also, I mean, it is true, and I know you covered this on your show, there was a surge in donations to Walker's campaign from his own base.
Right, lots of debate.
Where they're so convinced that anything that comes out in the press that is adverse to their side has to 100% be fake.
Or they don't care. They don't care.
They feel, no, I think they believe by and large that this is all fake. And so they feel he's under threat. They feel like, oh, this shows what a threat he is to the system and whatever. So it leads to this surge in donations. Now, overall, I think politically, because you need more than just those hardcore Republicans in order to win at Georgia at this point, I think it is a problem for him in terms of this seat. And even this one was so tight, Warnock up a couple, Walker up a couple, like really neck and neck, as close to like flip a coin as you could possibly get. I do think that this is enough that it gives Warnock an edge going into the election, because anyone who was kind of like on the fence with this guy, you'd have to look at this and be like, this is just a mess.
Yeah, I don't disagree with you. I think that's largely correct. My only slight disagreement would just be to caution a little bit of agnosticism, because I'm sure there are people who are on the left who are like, oh, good, that's it. We retained the Senate seat. Warnock's going to win. And it's like, I agree he has a little bit of an edge now. It was dead tied 50-50. I do think ultimately this helps Warnock, particularly with, the more moderate type voters. And maybe even with the turnout as well. Like it'll juice up Democratic turnout and maybe suppress a little bit, tiny percentage of Republican turnout or whatever. But I
mean, all he needs is for some people to not vote on that line. That would be one thing, of people who vote for Brian Kemp and then get down to the Senate race and are like, sitting that one out, or who, split the ticket. And it wouldn't take a lot of that to get him over the top. He's raised a lot of money. I think he's, obviously a far more effective candidate than Herschel Walker, is already extraordinarily close. And the other thing that we should keep in mind is, again, the story's not over. There's going to continue to
Christian could end it. He could end it all right now if he comes out and says, here's how he physically abused me and my mom. Because he was hinting, I got this. I got stories, bro.
Yeah.
You want me to drop the stories on you?
Pictures. Lord knows, he could certainly... And I would suspect, whether it's Christian or something else, there's going to continue to be these sorts of drips until Election Day. And, early voting is starting like basically now.
And here's what Warnock is doing.
Yeah, just keeping his mouth shut and watching it all unfold.
Which is definitely the right move.
Yeah.
So you would say it goes from toss-up to lean D?
Yeah, I think so. And, before, when we were in Georgia and we were making our election predictions, I actually predicted that Walker would win. I no longer think that. I still think it's going to be very close. Georgia's also a state where the polls have been wrong in a lot of places, especially in industrial Midwest. The polls have been right in Georgia. They've been really pretty accurate.
And I like Warnock.
That doesn't mean that they always will be, but they have been very close within a point or two. So I think you can put a little bit more confidence in the polling down there. And also the fact that it has been close there in the polls the whole time, to me, is also an indication that the polls are reflecting the actual reality of the race.
Warnock easily could have pulled a Kyrsten Sinema. He could have pulled a Joe Manchin. He could have said, look, I'm from a traditionally red state, so I got to be more moderate and vote 50% with the Republicans. Yeah. He has not done that. And for that, I commend him.
Yeah.
So I also just like him more. And I usually feel like when you make a more affirmative case for your side, that you're going to...
People are more excited about you.
Right, correct. Yeah. So,
and that matters especially in a midterm.
Totally. If you want to see me and Krystal Ball interview legends like Noam Chomsky, Cornel West, and more, subscribe to Krystal, Kyle, and Friends on Substack. $5 a month gets you the video version a day early. Remember, we take 0 ad dollars for this podcast. Or you can sign up on Substack for free and get the audio version a day later. Link in the video description box below.